Greetings from Siberia. It has been far too long since my last video. However, last week I got some amazing news that I just couldn't pass by. Couldn't not tell you about them. This is something that I really am excited to share with you. But before I get to that news, let me give you a little bit of background. As many of you might know, I've been struggling with chronic Lyme disease for about 3 years. Back in 2016, we moved from our farm up in the northern regions of Siberia in the Krasnoyarsk territory, where we had a cow farm and a goat farm. We moved from there down to the Altai region to start the Next Step project, which is our current farm project, this goat farm that we're on right now. We moved down here in 2016 in the fall. We built our yurts, we set up our just our little homestead here, wintered over, and in 2017 started really building the farm proper in earnest. We bought some sheep in 2017 in May, early May, brought them home, and they didn't want to stay home. They got spooked, ran through the electric fence, went off running up into the forest. I got on my horse, went after them to look for those sheep. I really should have delegated that job. That's, as it turns out, it's not the best thing for a blind guy to be looking for sheep in the forest. As it turns out, I spent about 4 or 5 days looking for sheep. Never found the sheep, but I picked up 3 or 4 actually ticks. Now, before up north, I'd always run into ticks. I mean, I'd probably get bit by a tick at least once a year. And yes, I've heard the stories about Lyme disease, and in this part of the world, in northern Asia here, we've also heard a lot about encephalitis ticks, that can give you encephalitis and a bunch of other diseases. But I'd always kind of written that off as to people being paranoid, a little bit too sensitive. I'd have been bitten by many ticks in my life before. Nothing has ever happened, so I just thought, you know what, this is not a big deal. However, a few weeks later, I started having really terrible symptoms. So I went and got my blood work done, got some analyses done, tests done, and it turned out that I had contracted both encephalitis and Lyme's. By the time the test results came back, actually, I was pretty convinced that something was terribly wrong, because I was laid out flat, vomiting, couldn't keep anything down, not even liquids. At first, Rebecca had been making me this sort of hydration drink that I was drinking, and it was at least staying down a little bit. But by the end, nothing was staying down. I was running a fever, pains all over, just absolutely terrible. So friends got me to the hospital in Barnaul, where I was admitted, and they put me on IVs and antibiotics and antivirals and a whole battery of stuff. Did a spinal tap. It was really crazy, and I was there for almost 3 weeks. On the verge of death. Like, really wonderful that they were able to save me. That was a really harrowing experience, and something that definitely I wouldn't wish on anyone, but I'm thankful for it, because I did learn quite a bit. But that's not about that today. From that point, for about 2.5 years, I suffered from chronic Lyme disease. Now, put a pin in this for a second, and we'll come back to this a little bit later. But encephalitis, as it turns out, and then I also contracted meningitis on top of the encephalitis as a kind of side effect of the encephalitis, does its dirty work in the course of about 2 weeks. Anything that happens to you, any damage that's done is done in that 2-week course. That encephalitis runs its course, and then it's out. The meningitis runs its course, and then it's out. So a lot of people, I mean, some people can actually get dead, or the encephalitis can be fatal. And meningitis can leave you paralyzed. So I'm really, again, blessed, and just a wonderful thing that neither the encephalitis nor the meningitis killed me, or it doesn't seem left any long-term either mental impairments or paralysis or anything like that. So that was wonderful. However, when I got back from the hospital, the residual effects of long-term Lyme's, chronic Lyme's, were obvious. I mean, I had all the symptoms. I'd go to work, any kind of work at all, and I'd be vomiting, I'd be shaking. If I sleeping 16 hours a day, sometimes 18 hours a day, sleep all night and get up in the morning, do a little work in the morning, and then sometimes make it to lunch, sometimes not, just go right to sleep right before lunch or right after lunch, spend 2 or 3 hours in the middle of the day in a big nap, and it was just really, really bad. The other thing that was terrible was the emotional and sort of psychological effects of the disease. You know, feeling anxiety and stress and depression and just all the stuff that came with that, just absolutely terrible. The weakness, the vomiting, the shakes. I mean, it was all there. So it was terrible. So for about 2.5 years, I had that, and I tried a lot of different things. A big thanks to a lot of my friends who tried to help me out. I had a friend send me a book. I had another friend send me several different kinds of medicine. I had another friend send me other kinds of medicine, and definitely a lot of people tried to help, and I tried a lot of different things myself. Nothing seemed to work. I'd have what seemed like things would be getting better for maybe even as much as a month at a time, sometimes even up to 2 months. It felt like I was making progress, and then I'd have a remission and things would be even worse than before. Again, just the weariness, the anxiety, the stress, the depression, the shakes, feeling like all your internal organs are shaking, just really nasty stuff. Just scatterbrain, not being brain fog, not being able to think straight, not being able to organize your thoughts. Just a really, really dark time. Now, last year in the fall, 2019, I'd been looking into some varying kinds of how to get rid of Lyme's, like what I could do to get rid of chronic Lyme's. And I reading all the forums and a lot of the Facebook groups and things, committed to Lyme's, dedicated to Lyme's. I was seeing a lot of people talking about different meds they're taking, different supplements to help deal with the symptoms. And I was interested in full recovery. I was interested in getting rid of the Lyme's. And one of the things that I kept running across was people who claimed that they had completely gotten rid of their Lyme's disease symptoms, or the Lyme's disease entirely, through the carnivore diet. And, it seems like carnivore diet's been kind of a fad lately, so I kind of looked at it as like, yeah, whatever, But every once in a while, another testimonial would come up, just randomly in random places, unexpected places, of people who had gotten rid of their Lyme disease through the carnivore diet. And finally, I was listening to a podcast where one of my favorite productivity authors was doing a Q&A where he mentioned that in his when he was younger in his early 20s, he had Lyme disease, and a 3-month carnivore diet had completely cleared it up for him. And so I thought, what is there to lose? Let me give it a try. This is the one thing that seems pretty consistent across all different platforms. People are saying that it's working for them. Let me give it a try. So in December of last year, I went on the carnivore diet. Somewhere around mid-December, I got really serious about it. Before that, I'd 1st of December, I tried to get on it, but then by the middle of December, I was actually doing it very regularly, and I stuck with it for about 7 months. So, until just last week, so even more than that. So for the first 4 months or so, I was very strict. Absolutely nothing except for meat, water, and coffee. And then after that, I added eggs, some cheese, and some other sour milk products into that. Goat milk, not cow milk, but actually pretty strict. I also, at about the 5-month mark, I added a couple of spoons of honey, teaspoons of honey a week. But other than that, very strict about just carnivore diet. Ate only beef. We have beef on the farm, mutton, and goat, so I was making a mix of those, and sometimes chicken, and occasionally a few times I had pork. But for the most part, it was mostly beef and mutton. The results were that by the end of December, I was really, the main symptoms, the weariness and the vomiting, were almost all gone. By the end of January, the brain fog has cleared up, the anxiety had cleared up. It was amazing. It was literally like getting born again. Like I'd felt before that I was 37 going on 73, or 37 going on 83. Just felt like an old man. And even on my good months, or the couple of good weeks that I thought I had, as my health was returning, as the symptoms were, going away, dissipating, I realized that even my good months were not good. Had not been good at all. Once you're in that stage of chronic illness, sometimes you forget what being well even feels like. So for me, this was just an amazing turning event. I didn't want to get my hopes up because I like, I'd felt better before a few times and things had always gone into remission. I hadn't felt this good yet. So all through the spring, I just was trying to keep my hopes from getting too high. The spring work came on. I started doing more physical labor on the farm, which in previous years, that's always things that I'd always felt pretty good during the winter, moderately all right. And then as the spring work picked up, always a huge, huge remission. This year, no such thing. I got into the work. I've been getting up very early every morning, doing all the milking. It's just been absolutely fabulous to be back in the saddle, back on my feet, back able to do the physical labor on the farm to an extent which I haven't been able to do ever since we've been here. It's been absolutely amazing. So the beginning of July, we went to the big city. I got some blood work done, had them draw some blood for checking for encephalitis, for antibodies, and also for the presence of active Lyme's. And just last week, we got the results back, official clinical results. I am completely 100% Lyme's free. Now, like I said, with all the symptoms having been gone, I was pretty sure that that's the way it was. But of course, like I said, I didn't want to get my hopes up too high because you never know. And so I like I said, because there'd been remissions before, I didn't want to get too excited. But now I just having this confirmation, it is a wonderful, wonderful thing. One of the main reasons that I wanted to record this video was to say thank you to everyone who has been praying for me, who has been supporting me and us through this whole event. I know that I have not been able to do as much as I wanted to do in the last 3 years because of the Lymes, but I'm thankful to everyone who prayed and continued to support us, our work here, just through it all. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I also wanted to just it might not matter to them in English, but a shout out to the Barnwell Hospital and the doctors there. They saved my life. Wonderful. So glad that they were able to use their knowledge and medical skills to save me then. Also to my good friend Roma in Barnwell, who literally came to visit me in the hospital almost every day, brought me food. It was a really good deal. So thanks again to him and to the doctors. A special thanks to my family, to my great wife Rebecca, and my children, and everyone who was here with us on the farm, who allowed me to be sick and didn't judge me and didn't just made room for me to work at my pace and at the pace that I needed to while I was sick. And then while I was in recovery, when I was doing the carnivore diet, they were eating porridge and oatmeal and rice for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, just normal food. And here I am eating, hamburger patties and ribs or chicken legs or whatever. And they have to eat just the normal food. And just allowing for that to be okay and not making a big deal about it allowed me to get through this whole process and to recover my health. So if you are struggling with Lyme disease, if it's gone chronic, if you got bit by a tick or got it some other way, and now you're dealing with this, and modern medicine, for all of the miracles that it does, sometimes it misses some stuff. And if you've been trying to get rid of this thing and you can't seem to beat it, really, really consider the carnivore diet. Yes, it's expensive. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it works. I mean, at least it worked for me, and it's worked for a lot of other people. So I just wanted to give that a big recommendation. So thank you all, and God bless. And I just hope that this testimonial will help someone else down the road who is struggling with this terrible disease to reclaim their health and get their life back. That's just my goal for this. And again, to say thank you to everyone. So again, thank you. God bless. Till next time. Bye-bye.